From NJ PBS Studios, this is NJ Spotlight News with Brianna Venozzi.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Joanna Gagis. Brianna Venozzi is off. We've got your guide to the best Jersey spots to visit this summer. When the heat rolls in, many New Jerseyans head to the beach. So which one should you go to? We've got the reporter who's ranked them, and it's sure to cause some controversy. And later, revolutionary road trip. As we mark the nation's 250th year, we'll give you the guide to exploring the state's historical sites of the American Revolution. But first, the boss has a new home. We've got the latest on what fans can expect at the new Bruce Springsteen Center for American Music. That's next.
Major funding for NJ Spotlight News is provided in part by NJM Insurance Group, serving the insurance needs of residents and businesses for more than 100 years.
Bruce Springsteen's music has always been rooted in New Jersey, but his impact reaches far beyond state lines. Now, a new $50 million center is working to preserve that legacy while also telling the broader story of American music. The 30,000 square foot facility is on the campus of Monmouth University in Long Branch. It's called the Bruce Springsteen Center for American Music, and we're joined now by its founding executive director, Bob Santelli. Bob, it is so great to have you with us. Thanks so much for taking some time. I want to just start with, I guess, the easiest question. What is the Bruce Springsteen Center for American Music?
Well, we're really a hybrid of a museum and an archives as well as a performance theater. So we try to make certain that we accomplish all three dimensions in the actual fan experience. So when you come here, you're going to learn the story of Bruce Springsteen, but learn that story through the sounds and sights of American music.
Talk to us about some of the sounds, some of the sights that we'll see, that folks will see when they walk in.
You know, the Bruce Springsteen Center for American Music is really divided into two places. First floor is all about American music. We have a permanent gallery that tells the story of American music and all its diversity and exuberance and history. There's also a temporary exhibit gallery, and that temporary exhibit gallery today will open with an exhibit called Chimes of Freedom, Patriotism, Protest, and the Power of Song. And that exhibit will essentially explain how music has acted as an agent for political, social change in this country, like it's starting to happen today again with Bruce's Streets of Minneapolis. But if you go up on the second floor, that's all about Bruce Springsteen's legacy. It's a legacy, of course, that is steeped in American music, from gospel, blues, jazz, soul, punk, etc. All of that in one floor, but with a series of opportunities to explore the creative process. So it's not just the history of Bruce Springsteen, it's the story behind the making of Bruce Springsteen and the great music that he made.
So many different points I want to follow up on, but let's just stay with the last one, because you've had a prolific career yourself, but you started as a music journalist. You were there covering the rise of Bruce Springsteen. You were there as he became Bruce Springsteen, starting at the Stone Pony and covering him beyond that. How do you explain that kind of meteoric rise through the work that people will see there?
You know, every journalist, and at the time I was just that, a journalist, you know, you hope for the chance to be at a place where history is being made. And, you know, I was fortunate enough writing for the Asbury Park Press, was music critic for the Asbury Park Press, and living right on the Jersey Shore. I was a musician myself. And you got to see, if you paid attention, this incredible thing that I've not seen since, which is the rise of someone who's not just a rock star, someone who's not just an important musician, but someone who had a story to tell. And of course, all of Bruce's music relates to stories. They're stories about the common man, the working man, about love lost, love gained. And to see that happen is really a great opportunity and an honor. The goal here for me, both personally and professionally, was to make sure that narrative, that grand narrative that Bruce Springsteen tells about himself and about America in general, is not only preserved but celebrated.
There's so much music that touches on the politics of the day, as you're explaining right now. Bruce Springsteen's done it throughout his career. So many others have as well. And when I try to think about what is American music? It touches so many genres. There's so many influences. Talk us through some of those voices and some of those greatest impacts, folks who've had the greatest impact on American music.
The thing about American music is that it's really not American anymore. It's the world's, right? You can go to Chile and hear blues. You can go to Iceland and hear soul. You can go to Russia and hear hip hop. It is predominant throughout the world. And the reason why it is because that this American music is our most important cultural resource. It's the national identity, I think, that speaks to the loudest and the clearest to most Americans, and even those who aren't Americans, but who look to America for its creative ideals. I think when we talk about why American music, it's really because it's diverse. It takes from all different walks of life. If you go all the way back in time, as we do in our exhibits, you'll find that there was this incredible creative I don't know if you would call it action or what, but the idea was black and white. You had music from Africa, you had music from Europe, and it comes together in America in sometimes a very turbulent way. And what happens is, well, soul, blues, gospel, folk, jazz, rock, funk, hip hop, and I could go on. The 20th century is just America's music century. And so this has been something that's unique to our country. No country, I don't think, has ever had the musical impact on the world that we have had. And so our hope here is that we just tell a little bit of that story, get you a little bit jazz, so to speak, to go out and find more information, to listen to more music, to understand how this great American music form reflects the American experience.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about all of that without talking about your role in preserving some of this history. You helped to create the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum. You were also the founding director, executive director of the Grammy Museum. Do you see yourself as a visionary and maybe as someone now who was, forgive the pun, born to run this Bruce Springsteen Center?
We made a film here. It's called The Ties That Bind, Bruce Springsteen's American Music Journey. And in that film, Bruce encourages everyone who's watching it to become a musical messenger. And I take that literally. It's an opportunity to send a message, to send a story to younger generations, yes, but also for people who might not be well aware of just how important and how great our music is. Sometimes, when we have so much music available to us that we don't appreciate it as much as we ought to. But for me personally, I've been involved in music. I saw the Beatles in 1964 on the Ed Sullivan Show, like so many baby boomers like myself, and it changed my life. It gave me my direction for the rest of my life. And so now what this is all about here is really to give back. I'm from New Jersey. I'm from the Jersey Shore. I went to Monmouth University as a student, undergrad. I taught here. And well, let's face it, as a music journalist, I wrote Bruce Springsteen's coattails for a long time. So this is a chance to not only tell the story, but to give back to the people who made that story.
Well, you're giving back in a big way. This is going to be, I know, just a huge and iconic place where so many folks are going to come to visit, feel a little bit of piece of that history, that New Jersey history, and of course, Bruce Springsteen. Bob Santelli, Executive Director of the Bruce Springsteen Center for American Music. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, if you're from Jersey, there's no debating it. Our beaches are the best. But where there is debate is over which of those beaches reigns supreme. Well, that's where NJ.com comes in with its annual ranking of all 45 New Jersey beaches. But I'll warn you, it creates some controversy. To hear which ones top the list and why, I recently spoke with one of the writers behind this year's list, food and culture editor for NJ.com, Jeremy Schneider. Jeremy, great to have you on. You had the excruciating job of having to visit all 45 of New Jersey's beaches, you and your colleague, Isabella Farina. So give us the lowdown, top 5 best beaches in New Jersey as you rate them.
It's a tough job, but someone has to do it. Number 5 was Sandy Hook, the northernmost beach in the state, no surprise. High in the state, high on the list. Super natural, super clean, very well maintained, lots of hiking paths and biking and just lots of natural beauty. So if you're looking for that kind of experience, Sandy Hook is perfect for that. Surf City and LBI was number 4. all the beaches in LBI are pretty great, but Surf City has a really good blend of a very nice beach without being overly crowded and really great things in the area to do once you're done with the beach. Also in that vein, number 3, Manasquan, which was, maybe I'm a little biased because I grew up going to Manasquan as a kid. I have family there, and so much of beach, like love for beach, is your relationship to that spot. Manasquan's always just been a nicely sized, well manicured beach with some really, really excellent food in the area. Bowie's sandwiches are awesome. I love getting pizza at Squan Tavern. And when we rank the beaches, we're factoring that in as well. Number 2 is Cape May, which has been number 1 almost every year. If you've been to Cape May even once, you can understand why it's such a great beach. It's kind of its own thing. It almost doesn't feel like the Jersey Shore. It's kind of a vibe of like a Charleston meets a Key West meets a Cape Cod, but it still has a Jersey feel, and it's just beautiful Victorian architecture mixed with really, really great sand and a lovely town. But number 1 this year has been number 1 in the past, and they're back at the top. Talking Beach Haven, LBI, the southernmost part of LBI. You have the Beach Shell, which is a fun place to stay and party. You got the Holiday Snack Bar, which is delicious, and you just have the best beach. It's
Super family friendly too, right?
Yes, I think that's, there's some places on this list I would not want to bring a family. Beach Haven's perfect if you want to bring your family but still have some fun. They strike that balance really nicely. It's not as buttoned up as, say, Ocean Grove, but it's not as crazy as Wildwood.
Okay, so as I go through your list, there's some that are a little controversial, and we're going to talk about them. You say Wildwood, I'm going to quote, "I'm not here to besmirch your Jersey Shore memories, but I am here to tell you this beach stinks." Why is Wildwood so bad? You put it at number 40.
Every year I get flack for where I put Wildwood. Every year I go to Wildwood with a fresh mind, like trying to see it. And look, I actually, like when we do this beach tour, I stay at a hotel at least once. I stayed at a hotel in Wildwood Crest so I could spend more time in Wildwood. The town is lovely. There's great restaurants. The boardwalk is elite. But the beach itself, the actual sand, it's objectively bad. It takes too long to get from the boardwalk to the water. It takes so long that they have beach taxis. I'm sorry, this isn't New York City. I don't need a taxi. I'm at the beach. And the sand itself, like I'd get it if it's like a really long walk and then you get there and it's like a paradise, but it's just not that nice a beach once you've made that pilgrimage across the sand. If you love Wildwood, I know a lot of people do. I get heat for this every single year, but just like from a pure beach perspective, it's just not a very good beach.
Yeah, I know some people who are going to come and find you. They might try to fight you, but let's look into the 30s because
I'll hide on the sand because it's so big they won't be able to find me.
I love that. You put Long Branch, Point Pleasant, and Belmar all in the low 30s. These are some of the core childhood memories of mine, so I'm curious why you rank those there. Really like low middle of the pack here.
Well, I think that part of that is, look, and again, I think we said this before we started recording, being the worst beach in New Jersey, you're still one of the best beaches in the world. And there are so many beaches that eventually, there is going to just have to be some stuff that goes like in the lower part of the ranking. Those are beaches that are very popular and that's part of the issue. They're so popular that it's hard to find good space when you're there. It's a more crowded experience. And some of these beaches that go higher up on the list, it's easier to get a more secluded experience. And look, everyone wants something different at a beach, and that's a beautiful part of the Jersey Shore. The Jersey Shore experience. There is a beach for everyone. Even the last beach on the list is someone's favorite beach. But
all right, give it to us.
Point Pleasant.
Yeah, give it to us. Okay. Last beach on the list. What is it?
It's Atlantic City. I'm sorry. I have an affinity for Atlantic City as a city, and it does have a nice boardwalk. And there is something to be said about being able to leave the sand and go gamble. Like that's just cool. How many places have that? But the actual beach, the actual sand, the actual beachscape there is depressing. Much like a lot of Atlantic City, unfortunately. There's development that's kind of looks like desolate and like it's been abandoned. The actual sand is not well maintained. It's one of the few free beaches in New Jersey, which is cool,
Right.
but also it's that shows you get what you pay for. It's not a clean beach. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you're going to be
Raise
dodging
your
squinches or
hand.
anything, but
I was gonna say, raise your hand if you go to Atlantic City for the beach. My hand's not going
yeah,
up. I'm going to Atlantic City for
no
the
one goes
casinos.
like, and I respect it. I mean, it's a great food town. It's a very fun boardwalk. I've been to concerts on the beach there,
Yeah.
but no, it's the beach itself. And look, someone has to be last. In Atlantic City, just it's bounced around a little bit. And look, fantastic Bruce Springsteen song, terrible beach.
All right, you've got Bayhead, Manalocan, Deal, and Brigantine also in that bottom 5.
Yes.
Some of the ones, 17 for Lavalette. That's another childhood memory for me. Ocean Grove, number 11. The real question I have, though, is how much hate mail do you get, and do you now need a security detail when you go out? Because people are so mad at how you rank their beaches.
We have been doing this long enough that I think people are no longer as offended. They know, I mean, like, and we purposely, as we do these rankings, we are consulting the rankings from the previous year because we don't want anything like things change time, like year over year, time over time, but we don't want something jumping from last to first. We don't want something we don't want it to be too volatile. But look, people get mad, but also people sometimes I get an email like, thanks for ranking us so low. This will keep people from coming to the beach, so we don't have to share it. And I'm like, yep. And then I say, that's what I was going for. I was just doing you a favor. But yeah, I
keep
my head on a swivel when I go to Wildwood.
And keep the bennies away, right?
Exactly.
Speaking as a Benny. Well, there you have it. Jeremy spoke again. I had to do it. Jeremy Schneider, food and culture editor with NJ.com and the Star Ledger. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
PBS viewers have gotten a glimpse into countless unique destinations all over the country with Darlie Newman. She's the host of Travels with Darlie, a show that brings you an inside look at the food and culture of so many different places across the U.S. And with the nation's 250th anniversary this year, she's taken her experiences and crafted a guide for all of us, focused specifically on locations that were pivotal during the founding of our nation. It's called Revolutionary Road Trip, and Darlie Newman is here with us now to talk about it. Darlie, so great to have you on the show today. I want to talk to you about your book first, this Revolutionary Road Trip, Hidden Stories from America's Founding Journey. What inspired you to write this book?
So I have spent the past few years actually traveling around the original 13 colonies, going to sites related to the American Revolution. And these are all places that travelers can visit to learn about the past. And the 250th was coming up, and I thought, wow, there's so many stories I'm collecting in filming this that I can't put into the show and that hadn't made it into the history books. So I decided to document those stories, and that is Revolutionary Road Trip. So you can read the book and learn, but also actually be inspired to travel to these locations in New Jersey and far beyond.
Can we talk about some of these locations? What stands out to you most about New Jersey? I know there are so many, so let's just pick top few that really had an impression on you.
So, well, New Jersey is a crossroads of the American Revolution, and so much occurred within New Jersey that really changed the shape of America. Princeton, New Jersey is a great destination. It's one of the chapters, the first chapter in my book. I mean, you can visit Princeton University's campus where there was a battle with Alexander Hamilton fought on what is now the campus. And Nassau Hall is still there. It was there back in Revolutionary War times. And there's great stories about what happened during that battle related to art, related to Hamilton, related to artillery and cannon fire going through Nassau Hall itself. So lots to learn over near the university is also Princeton Battlefield State Park. There are costumed interpreters there that really share insights into what life was like for everyday people during the Revolutionary War, which I think is important to learn sort of that side of the story. So lots to learn out in Princeton. And of course, great places to eat and drink like the Yankee Doodle Tap Room, where you can grab a pint and look at a Norman Rockwell painting while you're taking a sip of beer.
Take us into Morristown. I know there's a whole lot of history in Morristown as well.
Morristown is super interesting. First of all, if you want to, again, take a look at Revolutionary Era art, you can go to Morris Museum. Lots to learn there. And the National Historical Park is a great site where you can go inside of George Washington's headquarters. You can learn about that long, hard winter there in Morristown. And I just think like when you go to these sites, they're so family friendly. If you can take a tour with a park guide or a ranger, they really contextualize what happened during this time period. And Morristown is so interesting as well. For many people, it's an easy train ride or an easy commute. If you want to meet locals who are reenactors, go to Glenbrook Brewery as well. A lot of people hang out there after they've done their day job, and they have all these beers that are named after different sites and locations that are relevant to our history. So lots to learn out in Morristown as well.
If anyone caught that, there was just a quick glimpse of the Schuyler Hamilton house, right? Anyone who's a Hamilton aficionado will recognize that.
You know, those big names at the time are super fun to kind of call out as we travel around. And there was a romance blooming with Alexander Hamilton at that house. And again, costumed interpreters on site kind of guide you through the story. And it really brings it to life. We think about the American Revolution. A lot of times we think about the battles, but there were so many occurrences, including romances, budding during the time period as well.
Yeah. In North Jersey, again, in Union County, there's a lot to see. What do you have for us there?
So I found a lot in Union. That's a whole episode of Travels with Darlie. It's a Revolutionary road trip episode. Liberty Hall Museum, home of New Jersey's first elected governor, William Livingston. That is a great place to discover history and so beautiful to walk around the grounds. You're looking at footage from Caldwell Parsonage, and we went to Boxwood Hall, Connecticut Farms Presbyterian Church. There's a historic Cannonball House. Again, like a lot of sites that people wouldn't think about that are located in close proximity to everyday places you may drive by in New Jersey, which I think is really, really interesting. And also great places to eat and drink with history as well, like the Stagehouse Tavern. They've been serving travelers since the 1700s. So it's been a gathering place for quite some time. And in my travels, I did find a number of these colonial taverns that are still operating today. And I think that's really neat for people to be able to eat and drink in the past as they travel as well. If you go down to South Jersey, there's so much. Again, you're in close proximity to Philadelphia, but over in New Jersey, you kind of can take a step back in time and feel like you've stepped into the past. Haddonfield, I think, is one of the best sites to visit with Indian King Tavern. It is not a working tavern, but if you go inside, you can learn about tavern life during that time period, and they have a lot of replicas of what you would have had to eat or drink and what the different rooms would have been like for people actually frequenting these taverns in colonial times. There's a great story about the Greenwich tea burning. New Jersey had its own tea party, which you can learn about in South Jersey as well. And again, all these sites like Pomona Hall and places, Red Bank Battlefield is super fascinating. There's ongoing archaeology happening there, and they're continually learning about the past. That's something that I found super interesting when I was traveling to these sites. Again, a lot of people think of this history as history, but we're still learning new things every day, including at places like Red Bank Battlefield.
I have to ask about you just personally, because you have this travel show and it takes you to places that maybe you wouldn't otherwise go to. Did you become a history aficionado by doing the show? Was it already a part of you? I'm curious your development through the show, through everything that you've seen and experienced.
You know, I really did fall in love with history by doing this show. I think it's so great to travel to sites to learn about the past. It is that power of place. And I did 2 episodes on Alabama's Civil Rights Trail. I got to interview women who lived through the movement as children. And I met Rosa Parks' protege. She was 12 years old, sleeping on Rosa Parks' couch. And hearing her share firsthand information about what happened during the time period, that living history really made me fall in love with history and want to learn more and want to share the stories that we can all learn so much from. So especially during this time period of the American Revolution, I feel that when you travel to these locations, it really does bring it to life in a different way. And I think we can all relate to the past when we are able to stand in these locations where so much happened, these battlefields, these historic homes. Now, a lot of them are parks and preserved places. And it's the people on the ground that, when they convey their passion for what happened and their passion for knowing this information and sharing it, it really does just bring it to a whole new level.
Well, you have brought it to a whole new level for us, and folks can go and check out the book, check out your episodes so that they can put their own tour together. Darlie Newman, host and executive producer of Travels with Darlie and author of Revolutionary Road Trip. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for us. For the entire team here at NJ Spotlight News, I'm Joanna Gagis. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.
RWJ Barnabas Health. Learn more at rwjbh.org.